All right, so get this. Uh, you wouldn't believe what's happening over in the EU.
No, yeah.
Yeah, they've gone and passed
Huge.
this huge, law,
A massive.
massive law, all about AI,
Right.
and it's called the AI Act,
Yep.
and it's causing like quite a stir.
Definitely.
And you know what? Today is
What a
actually
big day.
a pretty big day for it because um, it's the first compliance deadline.
Oh, wow.
I know it went into effect last August, but
Right.
full implementation isn't until 2026.
Okay.
So we're right in the thick of things here.
Yeah, we are. And what's really interesting is that the EU is not
They're not messing around.
messing around, no.
No.
They've actually completely banned certain types of AI systems.
Law one thing, but banned outright.
Banned outright. That
I
sounds
consider them just too risky.
too risky. Okay.
Yeah, and they call these unacceptable risk AI systems.
Unacceptable risk. Okay, so what kind of AI is so bad that it gets put on the EU's no-fly list? Well, imagine a world where your every move is tracked and analyzed,
Uh-huh.
and your access to opportunities is determined by an algorithm that judges you.
Oh, like based on your past behavior?
Yeah,
Okay.
or even your appearance.
Wow.
That's the kind
Right.
of dystopian scenario the EU is trying to prevent.
Yeah, that does sound pretty bleak.
Yeah, so for example,
Okay.
they've banned things like social scoring systems like the ones being used in China.
Oh, right, right.
These systems essentially create a score for citizens based on their behavior.
Uh-huh.
And that score can then be used to restrict their access to things like loans, jobs, or even travel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
So you're saying the EU is like taking a stand against these
Big Brother-esque.
big brother, these systems.
Exactly. They're also banning AI systems that use manipulative techniques,
Okay.
like subliminal messaging, to influence people's decisions without their knowledge or consent.
Oh, wow. That's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example of how that might play out in the real world?
Sure, imagine a chatbot that's designed to sell you financial products.
Okay.
But instead of being upfront about the risks,
Right.
it uses subtle psychological tricks to nudge you towards making a risky investment that's not in your best interest.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah.
It's like those like manipulative ads, that try to get you to click on something you don't even need.
Yeah.
But this is like on a whole other level.
Exactly, on a whole other level. And
Okay.
another thing they've banned is AI that tries to predict criminal behavior based solely on someone's appearance.
Whoa, that sounds straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It does, right.
Like, why would they need to ban something like that?
Well, think about it.
Yeah.
If you have an AI system that's flagging individuals as potential criminals based on their facial features or ethnicity.
Right, you're essentially automating racial profiling.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
automating racial profiling, and that could lead to all sorts of discrimination and injustice.
Right, and it could also like reinforce, amplify existing biases within the criminal justice system.
Exactly. That's why the EU is drawing a hard line in the sand on this kind of AI.
So they're just saying, nope, we're not going down that road.
Nope, not going to happen.
Okay.
They're also cracking down on the use of biometrics, particularly facial recognition,
Mm-hmm.
for things like inferring sensitive characteristics like sexual orientation.
Oh, wow. I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a huge privacy concern.
It is, absolutely.
Like, imagine if an employer could use facial recognition software to screen job applicants.
Right.
And weed out anyone they perceive as LGBTQ plus based on some algorithm.
Exactly. And that would be a major step backwards for equality.
Yeah. Okay, that's seriously messed up.
Yeah.
It's good to know the EU is taking a proactive approach to preventing that kind of abuse.
Right.
What else is on this list of banned AI?
Well, they're also restricting the real-time use of biometric identification by law enforcement in public spaces.
Okay, so no more scanning crowds with facial recognition cameras.
Right, to track people's movements.
Okay, so if I'm walking down the street in, say, Paris,
Right.
I shouldn't have to worry about my face being scanned and analyzed without my knowledge.
In theory, no.
Okay.
There are some very limited exceptions, like if they're searching for a missing child
Oh.
or trying to prevent an imminent terrorist attack, but those are very specific
Right.
and require a high level of justification.
So it sounds like they're trying to strike a balance between, like, security and privacy.
Absolutely, which is always a tricky thing to do.
Yeah, it is.
Now, the EU also wants to ensure that AI isn't used to exploit vulnerabilities related to things like age, disability, or socioeconomic status.
What would it look like in the real world?
Let's say you have an AI-powered advertising platform.
Okay.
It might learn that people from a particular demographic are more susceptible to certain types of marketing tactics,
Right.
and then start targeting them with predatory ads.
Oh, right. So it's about making sure that AI isn't used to manipulate people who might be more easily influenced or
Exactly.
taken advantage of.
Right, and it's also about ensuring that AI isn't used to discriminate against people based on these characteristics.
Got it. Okay, so they've covered a lot of ground with these banned AI systems.
They have.
But what happens if someone tries to use them anyway?
Yeah.
Did they just get a slap on the wrist?
Not at all.
Okay.
We're talking fines of up to 35 million euros,
Oh.
or 7% of a company's annual global revenue, whichever is higher.
Okay, those are some serious consequences.
Yeah, they're not messing around.
They definitely mean business.
They do.
But it sounds like they've thought this through pretty carefully.
I think so.
Recognizing that, AI isn't inherently good or bad, it's all about how it's used.
Right, and that brings us to another interesting aspect of the AI Act.
Okay.
The idea of high-risk AI systems.
All right. High-risk AI systems?
Yes.
Color me intrigued.
So these are systems that might not be outright banned,
Oh.
but they're considered risky enough to warrant extra scrutiny.
Okay, what kind of applications fall under this category?
Think of areas where AI could have a major impact on things like safety, fundamental rights,
Okay.
or access to essential services.
Okay, give me some examples.
Well, biometrics and identification systems are a big one,
Okay.
especially when they're used in public spaces.
Right.
Imagine facial recognition being used to track people's movements in a city,
Right.
or to monitor their behavior in a workplace.
Yeah, that could definitely be problematic if it's not done responsibly.
Exactly.
What else is on the list?
They're also looking closely at AI systems used in critical infrastructure,
Right.
like transportation networks, energy grids, and water supply systems.
Right, okay, so...
If an AI system that's controlling traffic flow or a power grid malfunctions, it could have serious consequences.
Yeah, makes sense. We wouldn't want a rogue AI causing a citywide blackout.
Exactly. No, we wouldn't.
What else?
They're also concerned about AI in education,
Okay.
particularly systems that evaluate learning outcomes or determine access to educational opportunities.
Oh, interesting. Why would they consider that high risk?
Well, imagine an AI system that's used to grade students' essays or to decide who gets into a particular school or program.
Right, and that could be biased against certain groups of students if it's not designed and implemented very carefully.
Exactly. And the same goes for AI systems used in employment and worker management.
So like AI-powered resume screening tools or...
Yeah, or systems that track employee performance.
So you're saying these AI systems have the potential to be incredibly useful,
Yes, very useful.
but they also carry significant risks if they're not used responsibly.
Precisely. And the EU is taking those risks very seriously.
Okay, so how do they plan to mitigate those risks with these high-risk AI systems?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And one we'll dive into more deeply in part 2 of our deep dive.
Ooh, cliffhanger. All right, I can't wait to hear what they've come up with.
It's going to be good.
I'm sure will be. All right, welcome back. Last time we were talking about, those high-risk AI systems that the EU had under the microscope.
Yeah, because, as fascinating as it is to, consider the outright bans,
Yeah.
it's the high-risk category where things get really interesting. It's where we see the EU walking that tightrope between fostering innovation and protecting people.
Okay, so remind me, what exactly makes an AI system high risk?
Yeah.
What kind of impact are we talking about?
Think of it this way. You probably interact with some form of high-risk AI every day
Really?
without even realizing it.
Oh, wow.
These are systems that can significantly impact your safety,
Okay.
your fundamental rights, or your access to essential services.
Okay, give me a concrete example. Let's say I'm scrolling through my social media feed.
Okay.
Could there be high-risk AI lurking in there?
Potentially, yes. Imagine an AI algorithm that curates what you see in your feed.
Right.
If that algorithm is designed to keep you engaged at all costs, it might start prioritizing content that's emotionally manipulative or divisive.
Oh, whoa. So I might end up stuck in a filter bubble of negativity without even realizing it's being engineered by an algorithm.
Exactly. And that could have serious consequences
Right.
for your mental health,
Oh, wow.
your relationships, even your political views.
Okay, yeah, I can see how that would be considered high risk.
Definitely.
What other kinds of applications fall into this category?
Well, think about something like a credit scoring system.
Okay.
That's a classic example of a high-risk AI system.
Right.
Because it uses algorithms to make decisions about your financial future.
Right. If I'm applying for a loan and an AI system is, crunching my data to determine if I'm a good risk, That's a pretty big deal.
Absolutely. And that's why the AI Act has specific provisions
Okay.
to ensure that these systems are fair,
Right.
transparent, and accountable.
So what exactly does the AI Act require for these high-risk AI systems? Like, are we talking a whole new rule book?
In a way, yes.
Okay.
The Act outlines a set of strict requirements that developers and deployers of high-risk AI systems need to follow. Huh.
It's like a safety checklist, but on a much more rigorous level.
Okay, walk me through it. What's on this checklist?
First and foremost, they need to demonstrate that their AI system is compliant with the Act.
Okay,
This involves conducting a detailed conformity assessment,
like what does that mean?
which includes things like risk assessments and testing.
So it's not just a matter of saying, like, trust us, our AI is safe.
Right.
They actually have to, like, prove it.
Exactly, and that proof needs to be pretty comprehensive.
Okay.
They also need to provide detailed technical documentation,
Okay.
outlining exactly how the AI system works, what data it uses,
Mm-hmm.
and what safeguards are in place to mitigate risks.
Sounds like they're leaving no room for ambiguity.
No, not at all.
Else.
Well, they also need to establish a robust risk management system
Okay.
that covers the entire life cycle of the AI system.
So it's not just about identifying, like, potential problems at the outset.
Right.
It's about having a plan to monitor and manage risks on an ongoing basis.
Right.
Yes, exactly. It's like having a continuous feedback loop
Makes sense.
to ensure the AI is behaving as intended.
What else is on the checklist?
This one is really important.
Okay.
They need to make sure that there's appropriate human oversight.
Okay.
The AI Act is very clear that these high-risk systems should not be operating in a vacuum.
Right.
Humans need to be in the loop.
So it's not about letting the algorithms, like, call all the shots.
Exactly.
Okay.
Human judgment and accountability are crucial.
Got it.
This means that humans should be involved in the design, development, and deployment of these systems. And importantly, they should have the ability to intervene and override the AI if necessary.
All right, so if I understand this correctly, the EU is saying, look, we get that AI has incredible potential,
Yeah.
but we need to make sure it's being used responsibly, transparently, and with human oversight.
You got it. And that philosophy is woven throughout the entire AI Act.
So let's say a company's developing an AI system that's going to be used in healthcare, like a system that helps doctors diagnose diseases.
Okay.
Would that fall under the high-risk category?
Most likely, yes.
Wow, okay.
AI in healthcare is a prime example of a high-risk application
Yeah.
because the stakes are so high.
Right.
If an AI system makes a mistake in diagnosing a patient, it could have life-altering consequences.
Yeah, no pressure.
No pressure at all.
So would that mean the developers of this AI would have to go through all those, like, rigorous checks and balances we just talked about?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
They would need to prove that their system is safe, reliable, and unbiased.
Uh-huh.
They would need to demonstrate that it's been thoroughly tested,
Oh,
that it's not perpetuating any harmful biases,
right.
and that there are mechanisms in place for human oversight.
And what about transparency? Would patients have the right to know that an AI is involved in their diagnosis?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it gets to the heart of another key principle of the AI Act: transparency. The Act mandates that users of high-risk AI systems have the right to know that they are interacting with AI.
Okay.
And they should have access to information about how that AI is being used.
So no more hiding behind the curtain.
Exactly.
Okay.
Transparency is crucial for building trust in AI.
Right.
If you're being assessed by an AI system for a loan,
Uh-huh.
a job, or even a medical diagnosis, you have the right to know how that system is making its decisions.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense. It's my life we're talking about.
Exactly.
What else does the AI Act cover when it comes to transparency?
Well, remember we talked about those foundational AI models?
Yeah.
Like the ones that power ChatGPT and Gemini?
Yeah.
They actually have some specific transparency obligations under the Act as well.
Oh, right. Those are like the building blocks of, like, many AI systems.
Exactly. And the EU wants to make sure that those building blocks are transparent and accountable.
Okay.
So the providers of these models are required to disclose detailed technical documentation,
Yeah.
including information about their training data.
So it's about, like, shedding light on the inner workings of these powerful AI systems.
Precisely. It's about ensuring that we understand how these models are being trained,
Right.
what data they're being fed,
Uh-huh.
and how that might influence their behavior.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together.
Yeah.
But let's be honest. There are always going to be people who try to find loopholes or ways to, like, circumvent regulations.
Of
What's
course.
stopping companies from just ignoring all these requirements and doing their own thing?
Well, that's where enforcement comes in.
Uh
The AI Act establishes a new EU-level authority
huh.
called the EU AI Office,
Okay.
which will be responsible for monitoring and enforcing the act.
Okay.
They'll have the power to investigate complaints, conduct audits,
Right.
and even impose fines on companies that violate the rules.
So they're giving this AI office some real teeth.
They are.
Okay.
And they're also encouraging international cooperation on AI governance.
Oh,
They recognize that this is a global issue,
it is.
and they want to work with other countries to establish shared standards and best practices.
Makes sense. AI doesn't stop at national borders.
Exactly. So what you're saying is the EU is trying to create a comprehensive framework that addresses the entire spectrum of AI,
Yeah.
from those high-risk applications that require strict oversight
Right.
to those foundational models that form the basis of many AI systems.
You got it. They're aiming for a balanced approach that fosters innovation while protecting fundamental rights and promoting societal well-being.
Exactly.
It's certainly an ambitious undertaking.
It is.
But what does all this mean for, like, me?
Yeah,
The average person who's just trying to navigate this increasingly AI-driven world.
right.
How will the AI Act actually impact my life?
That's a fantastic question, and one we'll explore in more detail in the final part of our deep dive.
All right, I'm hooked.
Yeah.
Let's dive into part 3. Okay, so we've talked about all these different aspects of the AI Act, the banned AI systems,
Right.
the high-risk stuff.
Uh-huh.
But now I'm curious, what does this mean for, like, me, the average person?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's really at the heart of what the EU is trying to achieve with this legislation.
Okay.
They want to make sure that AI is developed and used in a way that benefits all of society,
Right.
not just a select few.
So how does the AI Act translate into, like, tangible benefits for everyday people?
Well, think back to those transparency requirements we discussed.
Yeah.
Those aren't just abstract legal concepts.
All
They
right.
have real-world implications.
Okay, give me an example.
Let's say you're applying for a job,
Okay.
and the company is using an AI-powered hiring platform
Right.
to screen candidates.
Uh-huh.
Under the AI Act, you have the right to know that AI is being used in the hiring process.
Okay.
And you can request information about how that AI is making its decisions.
So I can actually ask, hey, what's going on under the hood of this AI? What factors is it considering?
Exactly.
Oh,
You can
God.
ask questions like, what data is being used to train this AI? What criteria is it using to evaluate candidates? Is there any potential for bias in the system?
Wow, that's a game changer.
It is.
It gives, like, individuals a lot more power
Right.
in a situation where they might otherwise feel like they're, at the mercy of an algorithm.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just hiring. Think about those credit scoring systems we talked about.
Oh, right.
Under the AI Act, you have the right to know what factors are being considered when an AI system is assessing your creditworthiness.
Okay.
You can challenge the AI's decision
Oh, wow.
and request a human review if you believe you've been unfairly assessed.
So it's like having a right to explanation when an AI is making a decision that affects you.
Exactly. It's about empowering individuals and ensuring that AI is used fairly and responsibly.
What about in healthcare? We talked about how AI is being used for things like diagnosing diseases.
Mm-hmm.
Does the AI Act have any implications there?
Absolutely. Imagine you're being treated for a medical condition, and an AI is being used to help with your diagnosis or treatment plan.
Right.
Under the AI Act, you have the right to be informed about the role of AI in your care.
Okay.
And you can request a second opinion from a human doctor if you have any concerns.
That makes me feel a lot more comfortable about, like, the idea of AI in healthcare.
Yeah.
It's good to know that, like, the human element is still considered essential.
It is. And remember, the AI Act isn't just about individual rights. It's also about broader societal well-being.
Okay.
It encourages the development of AI systems that are beneficial for society as a whole.
So it's not just about preventing harm. It's about, like, promoting good.
Exactly. The Act encourages the development of AI systems that can help us tackle some of the world's most pressing challenges, like climate change, poverty, and disease.
That's encouraging to hear.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the EU is trying to strike a balance between protecting individuals and fostering innovation.
They are. And it's important to remember that the AI Act is still a work in progress.
Right, it's brand new.
It is. It's a complex piece of legislation, and there will be ongoing debates and adjustments as we learn more about the impact of AI.
But it's a good first step, right?
It is.
It's setting a precedent for, like, how we can regulate AI in a way that's ethical and beneficial for all.
Absolutely. And it's important for all of us to stay informed and engaged in these conversations.
Yeah.
The future of AI is being shaped right now, and we all have a role to play
Yeah.
in ensuring that it's a future we can all embrace.
Well said. I think we've covered a lot of ground today. What are some key takeaways you hope our listeners will walk away with?
I think the most important takeaway is that the EU is taking a proactive and thoughtful approach to regulating AI.
Yeah.
They're not trying to stifle innovation.
Right.
They're trying to guide it in a direction that benefits all of humanity.
And that's something we should all be paying attention to, no matter where we live in the world.
Yes, absolutely.
The AI Act is a sign of things to come,
hmm
and it's likely to have a ripple effect on AI regulation globally.
Exactly. This is just the beginning of a much larger conversation about how we shape the future of AI. And it's a conversation we all need to be a part of.
Well, on that note, I want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the EU's AI Act. I hope you found it informative and thought-provoking. Remember to stay curious and keep exploring the fascinating world of AI. Till next time, happy deep diving.